it's Alyssa, Bad Mom Jokes, and I'm here with my friend Marsha.
Hi.
So, I just have to say, you guys, ladies, moms, whoever's finding this, dads, definitely subscribe and like our videos, because if you don't, you will never see us again.
You'll never see us again.
It's true. We'll get lost in the sea of information. So subscribe and see us again. And
information.
Tap the bell if you want to watch us again. Right? So we have a little bit of a different setup. I don't know if you noticed, I'm not exactly streaming live. So this is live. It's happening in real time.
Yes.
My dog is here in real time. My daughter is with Marcy in real time. My neighbor and babysitter extraordinaire. But what I'm doing is I am recording it, because what's happened is I have all these technical difficulties on YouTube.
Oh.
So I bring in a guest, and you guys, I mean, you were here on time, you're ready, your camera ready, you put work into that as a mom to make that happen. I know, on a Friday morning.
Of work.
Okay, it's a lot of work. And I'm like, thank you. And then if we do this and then there's a technical problem, I'm going to feel awful.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you're not going to want to come back. Anyway, so I'm recording it and then posting it. So that's what I know. Marsha and we met. Okay, this is what I want. How we met.
How did we meet?
Do you remember?
Oh my goodness. Our kids eloped.
That's right.
Our kids eloped.
Yes, they did. And I feel like they're in a separation mode right now.
You know what? They actually separated, and we didn't know. She had a new boyfriend. Yeah, she was actually having an affair, and I was like, wait a minute, what happened with the?
Just so you guys know, our kids are 6, so.
And I asked, what happened to Declan? She said, who?
Well, here, to her credit, Poppy, that's your dog. Can I say her name? Poppy.
Yeah,
First name's only Poppy is on the big kid playground. So they don't really see, it's like they're on different planets.
Yeah, they're all, the section, they have a different playground.
Yes.
So Declan is on the playground she used to be on last year.
Yeah.
And now she's on the big kids playground, which is so fun. But you know, the thing about it, I think what caused the breakup, because he used to blow her kisses. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. He didn't just blow her kisses. He got in trouble for trying to kiss her and kissing her.
I think the trying, we need to remove the trying, because she was kissing him too.
They were so in love. It was adorable. Yeah, so I knew about your daughter before I had met you.
Yeah. And I was so nervous, because I'm like, oh my God.
I was too.
She is practically like pushing herself on this boy. She's like, Mom. And then, so when you introduced yourself, it was like, is she going to be like
hate me?
We need to have a talk about your daughter. But then you had...
I am not bad mom. I thought the same thing, because he came home, he had to draw his, what do they call it? Draw the limit is what his teacher would call it. And so he would have pictures of him kissing Poppy with an X through it. So he got in trouble for that. And my son is he's so sweet, but he also pushes the limits. He climbs the fence. He moons the kids in the bathroom. He does all that.
Climbing the fence, the kid is pushing the limit.
But it is, because it's like they're locked. They're like on lockdown, you know, and it's they're institutionalized. And it's a boundary thing. Like, what if he falls and hits his head? It's a liability thing.
That's how they learn.
I know, right? So, anyways, I was terrified that you thought this kid's coming after my daughter. Because it's worse. I mean, with a girl, it's like it's cute, but with a boy, it can feel like aggression.
I thought, like, oh my gosh, she's gonna.
He was like a Me Too moment. You know? This mom's gonna Me Too me.
I said to my other daughter, "Oh, she's so chill. This is so cool." Okay.
Well, because really, when I feel like I really met you was at Dylan's birthday party.
Oh yeah, that was super cool.
And that was magical, because it was after the birthday party was over and all the adults were just hanging out, and you and I were sitting on the sidewalk, not even in chairs, just on the ground, drinking a beer.
I was gonna say, can we say we were drinking? And I was like,
we can say that.
Yeah, we were having a great beer, by the way.
The only thing that would have even made it more magical is if all of a sudden one of us had a joint. It was just like, hey, girl.
Yeah, we could have. we could have, but no, we didn't go there.
I was still.
We had to set our own limits, right?
Yeah, don't bring joints to kids' birthday parties.
Yeah, we had to set our own limits.
Speaking of bringing joints, are you going to the event this weekend? It's an adults only.
It's an adults only.
Yeah,
and it's hip hop themed. I
thought it was grunge rock.
No, see, now they need to get it together.
Okay, because it says on the thing, "Come as you are," and then it's like
"Come as you are," then grunge rock, then hip hop. They said
who
80s.
told you hip hop?
They
80s
announced
hip hop
it this morning.
80s hip hop.
80s hip hop. 80s 90s hip hop, and I'm like
hip hop, like the Beastie Boys. Because it's a bunch of white parents that are running it. So I don't see it. Maybe they're into hip hop. I thought they were
like all black in a hat or something.
Well, it's so funny that you said that. Because I was texting another mom who's not going. All my mom friends were like, I'm not going to that. Like, we're all the bad moms. Like,
because it's fun.
I think it's going to be fun.
I think it's going to be fun.
I love going to events.
You know
I
what's
think
so
it's going to be a
fun?
blast. Yeah.
This might be really bad. Like, but you want to see, though, when I go to those events, you know what I look for? The really uptight moms who drink too much.
Yeah. You're like, I knew you had a flaw. Of course they drink too much. They have to escape their brains.
I'm like, I see.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's my husband who's like, sometimes they rent that Margarita Man machine.
Ooh.
So he's like right next to the Margarita Man, like frozen margarita machine. Yeah, like
I would take a station there.
So this school is not our district.
Yeah.
But we really like it. Yeah. And I really think they had him at Margarita Man machine.
That's what it took.
It was like one of the first events, and he's like, okay.
We have great ratings and awesome teachers and great programs. Margarita.
Yeah, the Margarita Man machine. No, he really does like the school. But anyways, it's a pretty fun, laid back environment. And
it'll be funny
parents are hip.
if half the parents come dressed to grunge rock
and half
hip hop.
Well, they both happened in the 90s, but they were so different.
They were
worlds.
so different. Yeah. I think that would be.
I feel like there was more like
different extremes, like Edge over here, Edge on the other.
Yeah, like I had in high school, I had some friends that were like full on hippies, like petroleum oil, don't shave. And I floated.
The locks and everything.
Between that group of hippies. They kind of, some of them crossed over into grunge. I was probably more grunge. And then there was hip hop. Not a lot of it at my school. I'm from a small town, but there was hip hop. Yeah. And then there was the preps. Like full on J. Crew. That's back when J. Crew was like a political statement, I feel. Like you're going fishing on the weekends. Yeah. Like tennis. You know what I mean? Like golf. Yeah. Now I feel like everything's blended together.
This is a totally different generation. It is. They're very blended, and I feel like they're more
inclusive.
Yeah. They're gonna say cooperative with each other, but they're more inclusive.
Yeah, there's more like you could be whatever you want to be. Whatever. Rainbows and unicorns and sparkle.
They're totally different. Yeah, and that's great though. I think that's what we wanted, but we couldn't find our way. We couldn't find that perfect crossroad, and they did.
Well, and I think because us as parents value that so much, we're trying to create that environment for them. My parents, I don't think, had a clue about what I was dealing with socially in the 80s.
Yeah, what were they dealing with?
They were busy.
Like, they were busy. Yeah. They were...
Like a lot of parents were working. And
you think both your parents working?
No, my mom was stay at home, but it was really hard because she was the minority. Where now I feel if you're a working parent, if you're a stay at home
parent, you're in the majority.
There's a respect for whatever you choose.
Yeah.
Now we're in a time of like we respect your choice. It's not like you're like she had a college degree and she chose to stay home. She worked part-time, but she was available. Yeah. And a lot of people would look at her and think she's dumb. That she was like,
I think that stigma is still there, though.
You think so?
I think it's still there. But you know, like for me, I've always worked, and I know, like whenever I would go out on interviews, I would always have to tell myself like 100 times in the mirror, try not to let it slip that you're a mom of a younger kid, because right away
they might right away be like, she won't be available.
Not be available. Are you, are you current with all the? I'm like, what? That doesn't mean like I don't have a brain. You know, I didn't
So you had to hide it.
I had to hide it.
You had to hide that you were a mom.
Yeah, and I felt like.
Dude, dads don't think that.
No, it makes them seem even more authentic in the workplace that they're dads.
You're going to be more stable.
Yeah, but it makes us unstable. It makes us look crazy.
And
like
in a way,
what?
It's like, yes, because we are usually the primary person. So if a kid gets sick or a kid, whatever, something happens, they end up in the hospital. It is true that it often falls on the mom.
It does. But I think that, though, I have to say, like, always being a mom who worked, there are times I felt like I had to have, like, octopus arms. Like, oh my God, like, how much can I juggle? Like, I only have 2 hands. Okay? Yeah. So there are times I really felt like, should I be home or should I be at work? Or, I need to be in both places. You know?
You do, and you can't.
And you can't.
You have physical limitations.
Yeah.
You cannot clone yourself
and
send yourself to multiple places.
And then I also felt like there were also this group of moms who'd be like, why are you working? I'm like,
because they'd ask you why are you working? Oh my God.
No, they would ask me like, why are you working? Like,
and is that from the school?
Yeah, they're from the
school. So it is from the school that there's the judgy.
Because, like, you don't really have a lot of time outside of school.
You're like, bitch, I gotta pay my bills.
I'm sorry I'm happy that you make enough for your...
Like, I am well aware, because I'm stay at home right now.
Yeah.
I do this part-time and I do some other things, but I'm stay at home. Yeah. That's my priority, and that's my primary job. It's a luxury. Like, I know that. Like, even though it's hard work.
Do you think it's a luxury?
No,
I'll taking care of the next generation.
Well, I'll tell you why. Like, there's physical, like, I do have to be on a stricter budget because we went down from 2 to 1 income. So there's sacrifices. Yeah. My hands I am a laborer. Like, look, they're splitting apart.
Yeah,
like,
but it's labor of love.
Look at
they're
that.
Beautiful.
I painted my nails.
They're beautiful.
I was so late today because I painted, this is
they're
my
beautiful.
I painted my nails. I put some sparkle and you have sparkle.
I have sparkle in my eyes because I didn't have time to find my eyeshadow. So I said, sparkle everything.
Oh, love it. I'm loving sparkles. Anyway, so the reason I say it's a luxury is because thankfully my husband, he doesn't make like enough for us to feel like, oh, we can do it. And we're in West LA, so it's expensive. However, we're squeaking by because I don't have earning power.
Though.
You know what I mean? But it's a luxury because I can do it. Like if he lost his job, or if we got divorced or something happened, I would definitely have to get a job. You just have to at a certain point.
This might sound crazy, but when you say you don't have earning power, I think like moms who stay home, we are a part of this invisible labor force.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we are raising the next generation.
But
who's going to do it?
Right.
If you're at work, guess what? You have to hire a nanny.
That's right, and they're expensive.
They're expensive, but they also can't give your kids the love that you can give them.
Yeah.
You're a mom. I think
it's a huge job, but we don't. It's not. There's no monetary value, but there is a value.
There is a monetary value, but we haven't asked for it. We haven't asked for it.
You're right. There is a monetary value, especially in America. Like, I do have a stink with America about the lack of maternity leave.
It's a lack of maternity leave.
It's third world crazy. I mean, it's like the whole like you don't get fired if you take 3 months. It's like babies are dying because of that policy.
Yeah.
Now, at my point where I have older kids, well, now I have one kid. She does have the diabetes, so I am being her nurse too. So that costs something. So fortunately, my husband can support me in it. However, I do remind him what it would cost him if he were having to hire someone.
You have to remind him.
You have to remind them. You have to remind them, like, hey, buddy, what would you be paying someone, to do this? So I am saving the family money on that level.
You would think that they would naturally just know that. You would think.
No.
But that's the thing where I feel like women, moms, wives, we need to speak up more.
Absolutely.
We need to speak up.
Yeah. Well, and if you have the right language, you need the conversation.
You know what? I think that we have the right language. It's attuning their ear to what we're saying.
Oh, I love that.
Because then we're trying to reach them. No, we're already here. We're in this same space as you are. You are actually getting all the benefits. I mean, I always say to my I have an older daughter. Yeah. And this is like the part of me like, a little cynical. But like
oh wait, I'm sorry. Really quick.
What happened?
I'm low on battery. I am the behind the scenes and in front of the camera, so I'm just really quick. I have to just do something really quick. So just hold that thought because I want to hear this.
Hold that thought.
Where is my charging pack? See, there's so many moving pieces. I know it's hard to see because you guys just see this. It's like, 2 ladies sitting on a couch.
Doing nothing. blabbing.
Sitting in bed on a Friday morning. Oh, how nice.
Why didn't you go to work?
Now we've got a fire alarm going off. It's eventful here.
Your carpets are so clean, I have to say.
Oh,
I'm like, I don't see one spot on this carpet. Like,
I have to say, this carpet's really old.
how did you do that?
Yeah,
Like, do you clean it every day?
No, I don't. I have to tell you, it hides the mess. It's like one of those great carpets.
I don't see any. I'm looking like.
Well, they're all shown to you on your
Where's
way
the
out.
spilled? Where's
Solve the mystery. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug this in, make sure that's in. I'm going to... I might even...
Should I unplug mine over here?
No, don't touch that. Yeah. For some reason, doesn't matter. Okay. All right. Let me just check. I'm going to check these. I'm going to check yours. Because the problem is if it's not plugged in all the way, I start. You know that feedback noise like when you're at a concert?
Yeah.
And the guitar is too close to the amp. And
it's really,
that noise.
Really annoying.
Meanwhile, my shirt. You guys, I don't have boobs to hold up a tank top. Okay. Here we go. Bad mom jokes. We're back.
We're just inadequate in so many ways.
No, right? There's nothing.
I don't have anything. I think you just mine. Okay, kids, look at mine instead. There's nothing. Like,
right?
What happened,
It's too
right?
much or too little.
You know, that's another topic. Like,
yeah.
we really talk. I have friends who tell me, so now that you're starting over, aka going through a divorce, she's like, are you going to get your body redone? I'm like
you need to get plastic surgery to get your fourth man? You're like, I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
That's all I
You know what's so crazy too? I don't think men really care.
I think the ones who matter don't really care.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Exactly. You're gonna attract. I've thought about this. There was this really gross billboard on Santa Monica Boulevard, and it was I think
Which
it's
one?
For a dating. It's like a dating service that hooks you up with your trophy wife. And it
oh
said,
my gosh!
It was called Perfect 12.
Ooh.
Instead of a perfect 10, I think is what they were implying. And there was this woman that looked like a retired porn star. You know what I mean?
Well, at least she's retired.
Because she's older and has all the surgeries.
Yeah.
And is all buttoned up.
Yeah.
Ready to retire and be your full time.
That's what I'm saying. At least she's retired, so she'll be giving service to him on the.
Yeah.
These guys though. I actually had a friend, let's just say a friend who was into that. Yeah. All his women had to get redone.
Yes, I know. I feel like I know this person. I know. By the time he was done dating them, they look like a Playboy bunny. And then what? Who are they going to get after that? All the wrong men. He was already the wrong man.
But I always thought, what? Okay, maybe that's why he and I never got along, because he could see, okay, she is not my type. I would just look at him say, and you know what? They had to pay for it. The last one, he sent her to Mexico to get it done.
Oh my God.
I thought,
that's just, to me, abusive. That's an abusive relationship.
And I said to myself, I said to my daughter, if you ever allow someone to do that to you.
Yeah, no, she won't.
This is
because you have 3 kids.
I have 3 kids.
And this is your
girls.
Older. So you have 2 girls, 1 boy, and so you have 2 kids that are older, and Poppy, who's my son's age.
Yeah.
So you've seen it all.
You've
gone through all the stages. I've gone through
the stages of what came to me on my path.
Yeah.
But there's so much, as a mom, you have to think to yourself, okay, how far do I go along the path of women's lib to say, hey, at a certain point, you've got to stop and really back in. You got to have your dignity, you got to have your own sense of self. And at a certain point, if someone is taking that from you, then what do you have left?
Right.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, then it's not you they're interested in, that they're going to be gone. And like you said, what's left over?
Yeah. If someone sees you as an object, that's never going to work out.
I remember when I was in college, I had a guy. I used to wear my hair differently then. Yeah. And I cut it off. I had really long locks, and I would dye. And one day I said, that's it. Yeah. This is too much. I can't get this class on time. I'm always late. It may not
have felt like really you.
It felt like me until it didn't.
Right.
And one morning, I was done.
And did he complain?
Oh, he was a totally different guy towards me. And then I knew what it was, and I was like, I'm going to confront him.
Wow. What'd you say to him?
I said, so what's the problem? I noticed, he didn't want to go out so much in public anymore. He wasn't as affectionate.
Whoa.
And so
I believe it.
Yeah. And I said, so what's the problem? He said, so what are you going to do with your hair now?
Yeah.
I was like, what? this is awesome.
You give him a wig for his birthday.
I gave him a dog, I gave him a Barbie with extra. I gave him a Barbie with extra long hair.
You give him his own wig. Here, wear this.
So you were in love with my hair the whole time.
Yeah, you could be in love with yourself.
And you know what? It's funny because when I told some of my girlfriends, I didn't get it. They're like,
what?
Yeah, they were like, wow.
See, this is the thing. When someone doesn't get it, I think it's because they're still sick.
I think it's because they're still sick.
I think when we're unhealthy and not aware, it's because we have a blind spot. I really believe that.
I get that. I think there's
they haven't confronted something in themselves
or they're trained. I think or fear, brainwashed.
Yeah.
We're still getting into that space where women are totally independent, not just financially, like you have access, you have the opportunity to become financially independent.
Yeah.
But there's also that mental independence and then that emotional independence. Like we're still growing.
Yes, we are. And it's a huge growing curve because if you think that just 100 years ago, what a different position all of us were in society.
We were property. Did you know? We were property.
We were property. Absolutely. 110%. And so I think even though intellectually we know so many things now, catching up emotionally and spiritually and the cells in our bodies.
Yeah,
the memory of all of it.
And then
the survival.
The survival, that is true. And then the institution, like out there in the real world, like my sister likes to say, well, you're going to have to go and find a new guy, and this is when you choose to cut your hair again.
So she feels that your happiness will be finding a new guy. She doesn't want you alone.
She doesn't want me alone, and she doesn't understand. She's like, after 6 months, she's like, it's been 6 months, are you dating? I'm like,
wow. Is she in Jamaica?
No, she's in Germany. That's who I go visit. She's in Munich.
So your sister ended up in Germany?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to talk to you about this, that you're from Jamaica.
I'm from Jamaica, but a part of my family, my paternal father's family, part of them immigrated. I think it was through the war.
Which the World War
II.
Okay.
They immigrated to Europe and to Germany and to London. And so
were they in the war? Is that why? Got it.
And so one of my grandfather's brother didn't come back, and he started a whole new set of family over there. Okay. So the tradition was that after we finished high school in Jamaica, we had the choice if we wanted to go to Germany.
Okay.
Or stay in
Jamaica.
And
so your sister chose to go to Germany.
My sister, my brother.
But you both were raised in Jamaica.
I was raised in Jamaica. My mom lived in me. I didn't grow up with my mom. My mom was living in Düsseldorf. And with my younger brothers.
Would you go and visit, or was it too big of a trip?
My mom didn't have any
relationship. It was one of those.
Yeah, my mom was really, and she's still that way.
So did you grow up with your dad then?
Yeah, I grew up with my dad.
And your auntie, right?
And my aunt.
Okay.
But my dad died when I was 9, so not much. So I grew up with his brother.
Family.
Yeah, and they were like really, I don't want to say anything there, but they're
not watching. I guarantee. You're like,
they're not watching. They're all in the grave. I'm sad.
So they're watching, right? They're in the room, Melissa. Okay, fair enough.
But there was this stigma, their family was better than ours, So, there was always that stigma.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That better than thing is really.
That better than, and I was like, are you silly? Like, how?
Oh, I can't stand that.
I had a laziness about me.
That.
Yeah. I didn't want to go and learn a new language.
Got it. That seemed intimidating.
But then I ended up here.
And it's cold. I mean, Jamaica is beautiful.
Jamaica's beautiful.
Yeah.
But, there's no economy. It's beautiful, but there's no economy.
And so how did you end up here?
I got a scholarship. I actually rebelled.
Yeah.
I became a rebel, and I left home really early.
But I ended up rebelled and got a scholarship. Like, those two things don't usually work together. You must have been a responsible rebel.
I was a responsible rebel. I was kind of a smart rebel.
Ladies, if you're going to be a rebel, be a responsible rebel. Don't just go do a bunch of drugs. Get a degree. Get a scholarship.
I actually got a scholarship to a music college, and then that got me here.
A music, so you play instruments. Did I know this about you?
No, you didn't. I used to be in a band. I can show my kids now.
Yeah.
The photos.
So what did you play?
I played piano and saxophone, and I sang a little bit.
Here.
So I was in a.
Oh my gosh.
That's good. That's how I used to make my money.
Wait a minute. So our school does a parent show.
I'm not.
You need to play.
No,
you can play in one of the. There's a couple.
My
of
daughter
bands.
will play. I haven't seriously played in years.
But I've heard the parent bands they could use you.
There's a parent band.
There's a couple. Yeah.
Oh my God, I don't have the time. You know, the time.
I know. It took me a minute to nail you down.
Yeah, but that's how I got here.
Okay,
That's
got
how
it.
I got here.
Nice,
So, yeah,
good work. And
rebel.
was it to, where did you go? I'm sorry, which college?
I went to Berkeley in Boston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a Berkeley, Boston.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a combination of the father-son who started the school, Burke and Lee.
Oh.
And so people confuse it with Berkeley.
Yeah, UC Berkeley.
UC Berkeley.
Of course, especially
So
in California.
Yeah. People say you went to Berkeley. I just said, yeah.
That's right, bitches. So let's see, what was Boston like in contrast to Jamaica? That would have been a huge difference.
That was huge, and I went on one of the coldest winters ever. I was there in 1995, and I was like, apart from culture shock, I mean, I traveled to visit my family there and in Miami, but I am telling you, the winters was like, okay, this is funny, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Like, I am a space case. People think I'm so together, so responsible.
You're in good company.
Like, okay. And my brother had no tolerance for it. As an older brother.
Got it.
He had no tolerance. So I remember like looking outside and you know what, come on, I was like 18. I'm like, I want to be cute. And I look outside and he's like, no, there's sunshine. And he's like, it's really cold, right? This is like December.
Ooh.
But I'm like, it's sun. So I would go out in like a little t-shirt and he was like, put on a jacket. I'm like, no.
That's so a young woman thing to do, isn't it?
I went and I was freezing. Yeah.
So you walked outside and you didn't realize how cold it was?
Well,
I thought. Trying to prove your brother that you could do it.
Well, it was silly. I didn't realize that if it's not snowing, even though it's not snowing,
right?
And though the sun is out, it doesn't mean that it's going
like,
warm.
Yeah.
Or that when you're not in the sun, it gets really cold.
Oh,
you know?
No.
And he was like, "You're gonna get pneumonia." I'm like, "No, not."
And of course, because he's your older brother, you're being super stubborn.
I was being super stubborn. Like, come on, I don't need a dad right now.
And so, did you do that again?
I did that once.
Like a one-time event, or did you do it again?
And I had to borrow a jacket.
Yeah.
From, you know.
You bought a jacket along the way. In 95, it was cold. I remember I was in, I guess it was 95 becoming 96, like the New Year.
Yeah.
I was in London.
You were in yeah.
And it was one of the coldest winters on the book.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I was so cold. Coming from California, I layered 3 layers of socks in my boots, and the wind just went right through. I think I was in Oxford or something. Yeah. The wind just whipped right through. I ducked into a shop, and I bought myself a thick pair of socks because I was just, I was like, this is impossible. And it's the best pair of socks. In fact, I still have those socks.
And you, growing up here in the States, you understand. Like, for me, I was like, oh, well, wait, what do I do? You know, so I just ran and just bought a coat with like...
Right. Yeah.
But that was a really good, like, learning experience and lesson. Also, like, walking in the snow. Like, for me,
takes coordination.
Takes coordination. Yes. I felt like...
Oh, yes, I remember. Well, no, so in California, we don't have snow.
We don't have snow.
Unless you're in the mountains.
Yeah.
And so I did the same thing. We were, like, having mirror experiences that year, that cold winter, because I brought these boots that I thought were so hip. And they were kind of, you know, had heels. Yeah. And they didn't have tread.
I cannot tell you how often I fell.
Oh my gosh. I felt so much. I was like walking like this.
Like a zombie.
And then I finally think I bought some shoes with tread. Because they don't make tread in California. You don't need tread. There's no ice on the ground.
And then my fingers were so...
Oh my gosh, we were twinsies.
Cold.
we, at the same point in our life, we were doing this. Looking like a...
I remember thinking, okay, I am stronger than this. I'm not.
You're like, I have balance. I'm coordinated. Thank God we were young. We would have broken bones.
Yeah. Seriously, I mean, there was one point I fell going down into the train station, and I was like, I'm not gonna get up.
You were too embarrassed.
was just defeated.
That's so funny because I went. We're just twins because I was skiing for the first time. I didn't know how to do it, and I made it down the hill that my dad took me up. I was so inexperienced for this hill. I was kind of doing like the plow the whole way down to survive, and then I finally did this last hill. I hit some ice. I fell on my face. It was right in front of the lodge, and a guy in a snowmobile came by. He's like, "Miss, are you okay? Do you need my help?" I'm like, "I'm good. Just leave me here.
Yes.
fine. Like,
as long as I'm down, I'm good.
Can I just be invisible right now? Can everyone, like, so we both did that where it's like, nobody saw that. If nobody acknowledges I'm on the ground right now, I'll just slither off.
I gotta tell this really funny story.
Tell me.
Okay. So when I just got, of course I had to get a job. I was living on campus. I'm like, I have no money. Oh my God. I had like 50 US. Yeah. And then it disappeared. And my brother said, you need to get a job. You need to get a job. I'm like, if he tells me that one more time, I'm going to scream. So of course I ran out of money. And then I asked him, he said, he gave me a jar of pennies, right? A massive jar of pennies. And I filled up a backpack and got on the bus and went all the way downtown Boston. Went into a bank, and you know how much it came out to be?
How much?
Like $60. Wait. And then I went in. The guy said, do you have an account with us? I'm like, no. And so the manager said, oh, dear God, we can't let her leave with all those pennies she looked at in here. So out of pity, right, they counted. It took them probably hours to put it in their machine. Then I got like $60.
Nice.
Then I finally said, okay, I gotta get a job. That was demoralizing. That was too much, right? So then I went and I got a job as a waitress.
Yeah, nice.
Okay. Jamaican cuisine is totally different from American cuisine. Okay. So I don't know about now, but in those days when you got a job as a waitress, they're like, okay, you've done this before. I'm like, yeah.
I did the same thing. I lied. You had to lie. You have to lie your way into position, or they won't hire you.
So I remember, like, it was
they looked at me that first couple weeks like, you've never done this.
You've never done this.
But it's like, if you have the guts to lie, they'll give you the job. You know what I mean? If you're willing to pretend you know what you're doing. Oh, I was a horrible server.
It was. It wasn't. I was missing.
No, it's okay. I just want to make sure it's not hitting your.
The serving was okay. It was like, I didn't understand. I was like, an egg so sunny side up. What the heck is that? So I would go and they were like, how do they want the eggs? I'm
like the sun is shining? Like a sunny outside? Is
that was what floored me. Like, I could chit-chat with the customers all day, but I was like, what is over medium? Because we don't really eat that stuff for breakfast. So I was constantly trying to juggle. Like, if you don't understand that, then
there's so much you take for granted.
So much you take for granted. So at the end of the day, I mean, I made like $50 in tips, but they're like, you might want to come back after you can learn the menu.
Right, yeah. But you got it. You picked it up.
I went from there and got another job. And when they said, have you done this before? I was so confident. I said, yes!
And this time, I'm not lying.
I'm not lying, and I have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I know a sunny side up and over medium and hard.
But you know what? My manager then, she was so cool. I never forget. Her name was Sue. She was from like the Midwest. Yeah. And I could tell her that story. And she laughed and she said, don't worry, we'll train you. She was so sweet.
Oh, Sue.
Yeah.
I always love, my mom's a Susan.
Oh, your mom's
Jesse's
Susan.
mom was a Susan.
Oh my gosh.
My daughter's a Susan.
Susans are awesome.
I've never met a Susan I don't like.
I've actually never met it. What is that?
It's in the name. They get taken advantage of though because they're so sweet. People,
The Susan I knew got taken advantage of too.
Assholes.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that interesting? I always think how much our name shapes us.
I never thought of that, but it is so true.
It is. Like, any Alyssa I've ever met, we're so similar. There's like it's something about the name. That's why I put so much pressure on myself when I picked my kids' names, because I thought, this is it. I am like stamping their personality right now. I put pressure
on myself for the different reasons. I just want to be like,
You want it to sound good?
Sound good.
We'd be like, so how many different ways can they be teased? And I feel so bad for my son because it turns out we did come up with a lot of ways that you could really tease him.
Declan?
Yeah, don't even get me started.
Cool name.
It's a very cool name, but the names are going to come. Right now, the best the kids have come up with is Duck.
That's what Papa used to call him.
Yeah,
Ducklin.
Ducklin. Or just Duck, and he doesn't like it instead of Duck.
Is such a cool classic name.
Right,
you know?
But it's going to say Dickland. You know,
yeah, I was going to say that, but it said
and all of that. It's gonna turn into all of that. And at some point, he's going to have to be strong. Yeah, you know?
But he's a strong boy.
It's so funny because we came up with all of these horrible things. Duckland.
I feel like no matter what, your name is...
But we loved it so much. We're like, sorry, buddy, you're going to deal with it. But, we call him Deck. Hopefully he holds strong on the deck front.
On the deck front.
Yeah, it's not Duck, it's Deck. And even when he says, they call me Duck, I don't like it. I'm like, that's not that bad. Duck. Embrace Duck, because it can get worse. You know? I mean, it's not bad as naming your son Richard, you know?
Yeah, then they call him Dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's really interesting. I'm going to have to think, this is something I'm going to even think about, the names, because definitely all the Susans I've known, they're super sweet, super giving, but they get taken advantage of.
Yeah. Have you met Marshas?
Yeah, I had 3 Marshas in my class in Jamaica.
So it's a popular name in Jamaica.
It's a popular name. It used to be a former British colony. Sarah. Yeah.
Got it.
That was my grandmother's name, Sarah.
Oh, Sarah.
Well, Sarah.
Okay. So, because I don't hear it. I don't know any other Marshas here in the U.S.
It's definitely, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Do you know a Marsha here?
No, I don't know any Marshas
I feel
here.
it used to be a name, maybe
I do.
Yeah.
Briefly, my older daughter's pediatrician used to be called Marsha.
Okay.
That was the only one I met.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I did have some questions for you. I was wondering, like, if you had raised your kids in Jamaica, do you feel it would have been a different experience for you as a mom than it has been here in the U.S.? I'm just curious for my own.
I think so.
Like, how so?
I think that, one, even though I complained about working, there was no economy and it wouldn't have supported me. And because I didn't have my maternal parents weren't present, my mom was living in Europe, no connection, and my dad had died, then I didn't have any support. So I had to think, I have to go somewhere to start a family where I can support myself.
So you just felt it would have been hard because there would not have been the economy to support you and your kids.
Yeah. And even for me,
is your aunt still there?
She just passed a few months ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and we didn't have a good relationship.
Oh, okay.
But God bless her.
Yeah, hi, Aunt. What's her name?
Iris.
Hi, Aunt Iris. I hope you're enjoying the show. I do believe probably more people from the afterlife watch this show.
That's our real audience.
We're doing this for the undead. All those undead women that are like, represent. Right. Finally, someone's talking my talk.
Oh, my goodness.
We're here for you, okay?
Yeah. No, it definitely makes a difference, and I really support women who can, create their own economy. I think you have to create it yourself, but be aware of it. Be aware that you have to have this for yourself. Either you choose someone who is very stable and very trustworthy.
Yeah, or incredibly trustworthy.
Or
the problem with getting that, like I'm in that situation, and the problem with that is you can't ever really know another person.
Thank you for saying that.
Because it's true. Because it's so humans are so complicated.
And they change so often, and you never know.
You don't know at what point they might have a life event or a aha moment or something.
Be in the wrong airstream. You never know.
Like a bad influence or whatever it is. And I saw that happen to my mom where, I mean, if you would have looked at the 21 years of their marriage, even she never thought she would be in the position she is today. As a stay-at-home mom that sacrificed those working years and not being able to retire,
not being able to end well for
and it ended well for my dad because he got remarried and it's like a double income, no kids, all of that. So where my mom
really hard
doesn't have retirement. It is. It's really hard, and I struggle a lot. And my husband's always like, you can trust me, but I'm like, but I am repeating the past because I'm not working right now.
Oh my goodness. That
you know
was
what I mean?
something
And so I'm vulnerable, not so much that I don't trust my husband, but I've already watched someone ahead of me go through it.
Yeah. I was always aware of that because my dad, even though my mom left because my dad had 2 other families.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that more common in Jamaica or no?
I don't think that it's more common anywhere. I mean, I have friends here.
Yeah, I did know people here that things like that happen, but it was hidden.
It was hidden.
It was hidden. Okay.
Kind of hidden, but I feel like it was so.
That's a lot to juggle.
Yeah,
3 families.
Well, that's why we ended up without a mom,
Right, she's like, I'm out.
Yeah, and also I feel like, there was no, she wasn't even married to him properly, so there was no alimony.
Got it. Yeah. There was no laws to support her.
No, and the sad thing is that all my dad's kids are, actually there were laws to support us through the government, because he worked in the government, and that's how I actually got here.
Got it.
Because even though I got a scholarship, it wasn't a full scholarship, and then the government paid the rest of it. So they supported me until I was 25.
Thanks,
Jamaica.
All right. They're probably really hoping you come back and give back a bit, but oh well.
My dad was a cop, you know.
So he gave.
He gave, and then they supported the families of cops. Because when he died, I was 9, so they support you all the way through 18.
Got it.
But if you go to a tertiary level institution, then they support you all the way through. So
got it.
That's how I got out. You know?
Yeah.
So that was good. I looked back at it.
So he did give you that at least.
He did give me
a
that
job that supported you a bit.
Yeah. And then you know what? This is another episode that we could totally talk about. But I gotta tell you this. So
tell me.
When I was like in my mid-20s after I finished college and I was getting married, I got married right out of college.
Yeah, I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I thought you were going to. We all did, right?
You didn't have the same.
I hit him over the head and he said yes.
I thought he was the one.
I thought he was.
He apparently didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
Which is for the best.
Which is for the best, yeah, because then you're totally dominating. Yeah,
so different. It would have been a different trajectory completely. Yeah.
But after all that, I had to get my marriage. To get my marriage certificate and my green card, I needed to give my birth certificate. And then when I went back home to get, because I didn't have a copy of it, and my aunt she didn't want to send it to me.
Sure.
I found out that it wasn't real.
It was forged?
It was forged. And when I found the real one, it was another man that was my dad. I cannot get over my birth date was different.
So you were like committing fraud unintentionally.
My whole life, and I did not know that.
Wait, so your mom forged the birth certificate to make sure that it was the dad that would maybe take better care of you
My mom was
smart
married
lady.
to someone else in Canada. I wasn't even born in Jamaica. I was born in Montreal.
So did your dad? I mean, was she having an affair with him so he would believe you were her daughter?
Well,
like, did your dad just play along?
3 other kids for him prior. And then she married this guy.
But I mean, he does know what he has to do to make a child, right?
Well, yeah, but she came back and she didn't let him know she was already pregnant.
And she just like, bam, bam, like, this is yours.
Yeah. And
so he what a smart lady.
It. But then the dad from Canada came to Jamaica looking.
Maybe did she get out to escape the scandal too? Like if she got caught or...
She never properly divorced him. And then she got married to someone from Germany.
So that's illegal, right?
Yeah.
Wow, your mom's a badass.
I went to Canada and found out that my mom had a record there. No, my mom had a record.
Your mom she's like, did you see the movie The Favorite?
No. Oh, I want to see it because
gotta see it.
No, I have to read a story.
I think you do, and I think you'll especially. I was really fascinated by this movie because of the way the women connive behind the scenes to survive.
I have to watch it. That was my mom's generation.
Yes. Well, in this particular movie, it takes place quite a while ago. It's like the English court during like the French.
Yeah, it's a period piece.
Yeah. But it's so interesting because I feel it's the first movie I've ever watched where you're seeing that really complicated, confusing inner workings of the female side of these conflicts. And how intense that is. That will to survive. And who they'll hurt, and what lies they'll tell,
and what the lies they'll tell,
and like how they accomplish. I mean, talk about being an actress. The ability to navigate those kind of lies is just like breathtaking.
Breathtaking to navigate it.
I personally don't have it in me.
I
just can't. I mean, I can lie to a point, but man, oh man, I'm like, whoa.
I remember when I started getting to know my mom when my youngest, was like a toddler and she was trying to have a relationship with me.
Yeah.
And I was complaining to her about stuff and she's like, you need to toughen up.
Whoa.
She's like, you have this total Pollyanna attitude about life. Like,
wow.
I'm like, what does she mean? Like, she's like, but
and
that's
how old are you?
I was like 26.
Okay, so she really was like trying to school you and like, hey, look, lady, it's a tough world out there for a woman, so you better get your
And then when I went to work, you know what she said to me? When I went to work, and I remember I was buying this beautiful, like, living room set, and she's like, you're buying it and you're married? She's like, let him earn it. Don't have the kid and go and work and buy the furniture. I was like, but I thought, like, how dare you? You were never there for me. But she was so right.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know all of that, what was going on with her. But she would tell me all of that, right? And then I finally said to her, like, it took me months before I brought it up to her, like, hey, I didn't call her mom, so I call her by her name. Lilas. You know what that means, right? My mom's Jewish, by the way.
Oh, okay.
My grandmother was Jewish,
Yeah.
and my mom's Jewish.
Yeah.
And Lilat means like evil devil. Wait.
Was she okay with you calling her that?
She didn't have a choice. She knows I didn't really know her.
So she just kind of took her lashes because she knew she wasn't there for you. And
yeah,
that's what she
I call her
gets as a
all
mom.
our kids. We call her Lilit. Lilit.
Oh,
By Jamaica, we said
wow.
Lilit because we didn't know how to pronounce it properly.
Is
But
there a
Lilit.
Jewish community in Jamaica?
There's a huge Jewish
Oh,
community.
okay, I didn't know that.
What a lot of people didn't know that when
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus sailed
Yes.
from Europe to the islands, all of his crew members were Jews.
I didn't know that.
all
I
of his
always
crew
thought
members
the
are
influence
Jews.
would have been the Roman Catholic Church.
No, well, his influence, his monetary influence was
Right.
like a Roman Catholic Church, but they needed people who would come for free, who wanted to start over in a new world, and so it was all Jews.
Jews escaping
Except
persecution.
persecution. They weren't
segregation.
allowed to have property and all
Right.
that. So
Wow.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, most
That
of
is
those
so
islands.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So they.
Because I actually specialize in this whole, like, they called it like discovering the Americas or what. Well, they didn't call it discovery because conquering.
Uh-huh.
Because the discovery they felt was an incorrect term for what happened. What actually happened was conquering.
Yeah.
And the Americas.
Yeah,
And
that's really
they
what
didn't-
happened.
They didn't really. They brought in a lot of like what the Spaniards did and what the and the Portuguese did, but they and like the atrocities, but they did not touch upon the crewmen.
Well, they're
that's
writing the
really-
history, so
Well, it's just interesting because even today's history books, like the ones that where the professors are trying to update, I guess they didn't get into who was actually working on the ships, and that's so interesting.
when I was in
didn't know that.
college, I didn't even know that. It's
Yeah.
now that my daughter is going to college. My
That they're
oldest,
starting to.
she's
unearth
saying,
these
"Mom, did you
details."
know that?" I'm like,
Wow.
"No, that
and
makes
you're
sense."
directly connected to it.
Directly connected to
Wow.
it, but now
As
they've
are we
assessed.
all, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a. I mean, and
Look, we're in America.
we're in America.
Yeah, well, God knows how we got here.
But people have always said, you think about the Rastafarian culture and
Yeah.
the Lion of Judah and Zion,
Yeah.
like, where do you think that came from?
Yeah.
Because the
All those
Jews
connections.
lived up in the mountains, and when
Yeah.
the slaves would run away, the Maroons, the Jews would take them in. And so there was this Jewish community, and then there was the community of the Jews and the ex-slaves of the Maroons. And they're still there.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is one part of the culture that is very self-sufficient. They've never needed aid, and
Interesting.
and I think they have the true culture of the
Yeah.
island still there.
Interesting.
So. Anyway, so
Wow.
what a tangent,
Powerful.
right?
Yeah.
But my
No,
mom,
but it's a beautiful tangent.
It's a beautiful
Things I didn't know. I mean,
tangent,
I've never
yeah.
been to Jamaica,
Yeah.
and Jesse loved it when he
Yeah.
went in college.
it's so funny because my grandmother told me, and
Yeah.
this is me being arrogant. Like, talk about arrogance,
Yeah.
right? She told me, and it's my mom's mom, and this is when. The year before I was leaving for college, and I told her, you know what, I'm getting a scholarship and I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
And so she said, she was telling me certain things, and she says, I really want you to focus on our Jewish culture. And I'm like, okay, Grandma.
Was it news to you?
I'd heard. Okay.
Yeah. So you didn't grow up going to temple.
I think no, there's no temple. There's one temple. I grew up
There's
doing
a lot
Passover.
of Jews, no temple. Okay.
Passover
do
and
Passover.
Shabbat, but I didn't. I was like,
It was probably just like a food celebration or something to you. Yeah.
But
You're
I
like, this is what
thought,
we eat.
Grandma.
Yeah.
I said, Grandma, Jews were in the Bible. Like,
What are you talking about?
Like crazy.
Yeah.
So-
What's that crazy grandma talking about? Yeah.
And then but my sister, my older sister, always said, no, our grandmother's mom, she thought she was white. But like, no, she was actually Ashkenazi Jew.
Yeah.
So we went back. This is me, because I think I know everything. And even after knowing all this, I still went back a few years ago because you can find your grandparents' birth certificate. Because it was a British colony, all of these records are very well kept.
I'm getting chills.
And I researched it, and I was like, holy crap.
Wow.
It was real.
Wow.
And so I ended up, like, when I came to the States, like, all of the people that I met who really wanted to help with Jews.
You're legit Jewish.
So my daughter, my daughter and my son grew up in a Jewish community here. And I always thought, okay, Grandma, you are like controlling me from the grave.
Right. Wow. No, I think it's bigger than that. I really believe, this is gonna sound crazy, but it all. Maybe Jews are God's chosen people. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think God has any chosen people, by the way.
But okay, not like, I don't know. It's so complicated because I don't want to say that other people are not. I think we all have our gods. You know what I mean?
I think
I think there's a power in belief, but these stories, you can't deny.
You can't deny
the connection you have to your Jewishness.
And I'm very non-religious.
That's okay though.
I'm
like
very
my husband's
non-religious.
not religious, but he's Jewish.
Yeah.
And even though I'm married to him, and even though my kids are half Jewish, like I can't deny that that doesn't make me Jewish. It's not like other religions. There is something about it. There is something about it that is
it's
connected
beyond mystical.
It is mystical. I mean, I'm not trying to get crazy here, but there's a mystery to it.
There is a mystery to it.
And so I'm not pretending to understand it, but this story is so beautiful of your connection to this, you know?
And all of my siblings had Jewish names. And I thought, and I've apologized to my grandmother in the grades. I'm so sorry. I thought you were like...
Cuckoo. Well, I think, to be fair, I think that's the generation gap. I think so many of us treat older generations like they are crazy. In reality, we should shut up and listen to them. Yeah. They know something.
They know something. But you know what? Going back to the original story of women and the behind the scenes conniving and what we do to like survive, I wanted to know, like, well, how did that happen with my grandmother switching? Because the Jews back home, like, they were very, very... segregated, isolated. They isolated themselves from the general culture.
Got it. Were they very traditional?
They were very traditional.
Yeah, like here in Los Angeles, we have Jewish communities that really
not so traditional.
Are not so. We have secular, but then we also have a strong. What do you call that? Traditional. What's it called?
I know.
What's the word? And it's so obvious. Like Orthodox. Orthodox.
Not so much as in New York. Like New York, oh my goodness.
You don't think so? Like if you're in, it's
in Hollywood, in Jewish Hollywood.
Yeah,
West Hollywood is a small portion
Beverly Hills
of them.
Yeah.
But if you go to like New York,
it's a more concentrated population.
It's a more concentrated population.
So in Jamaica, are you saying there was Orthodox Jews?
No, they don't go.
Okay, got it. It's a Jewish community that still stays amongst themselves.
Yeah, they still practice a lot of the older Jewish cultures.
Got it.
What older Jewish
They're
traditions.
To a further back tradition.
Further back tradition. Like you would say, like Eritrea and Ethiopia. They have one of the oldest Jewish cultures that predates what people even remember.
Wow.
Of Jewish cultures.
How interesting to travel to Ethiopia and connect to that.
Yeah, well, most of them are gone because they've been banished and sent to Israel. The government wanted to get rid of them. Anyways,
persecution.
Persecution, yeah.
You know you're onto something when you're persecuted.
You know you're onto something when
true.
You're persecuted, yeah. But talking about the conniving behind the scenes, and I wanted to, like I believe in I don't know, I believe like in the continuation of energy. Like I said, if my mom had that energy, where did she get that from? So I started asking questions about my grandma. And she was like a replica of my grandmother. Of course, I knew my grandma when she was older.
Sure. But you don't know the young version.
Yeah, the young version. And I'm like, oh my God, she was just like my mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a time. And when was your grandmother born?
My grandmother was born in 1908? She's really old.
Wow. Yeah. And this segues into something I wanted to talk about, talking about the past. So this is a lipstick. You might know this. It's called Cherries in the Snow.
No, I don't know. Let me see.
And a makeup artist, when I first moved to Hollywood, a makeup artist told me about this. This is it's Revlon. It's called Cherries in the Snow. This is old. This is from, so don't use this.
It's a beautiful color.
This is from when I moved here in probably 02 or 03. Oh yeah, it matches your nails.
That's my nails.
This color dates back to 1952.
Wow.
They've never discontinued it. It's one of the oldest colors, I think, in production. So I went and bought one.
Your grandma probably wore this.
That's what I'm thinking. That's why I was picturing all these women wearing this lipstick.
Yeah.
I'm wearing it now. It's very pink, so it's not as hip as some of the colors they have now. But I have this theory that
pigmented.
It looks really good in black and white.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's probably
like
why,
the old black and white photographs or movies. And it's just a lipstick, but connecting to the past.
Yeah, connecting to the past.
The fact that one of our grandmothers could have worn this.
Does it remind you of your grandmother when you
Not
were?
at all. It actually reminds me of Hollywood because a makeup artist told me about this color, and I just love the history of it.
Yeah.
And I love picturing all these women in your family wearing the same lipstick color and committing these crimes.
Committing these crimes, or like what we call them,
crimes of survival. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I wanted to I have it on right now, but I wanted to make it.
It's beautiful on you.
Oh, apparently, it's like. It's this
gorgeous
color that looks good on every skin type. It's this magical color. Yeah, I was watching a video about it. And I was going to throw this out because usually, if I get something new, I just throw it out. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, maybe I'll start every decade I'll buy one.
Every decade.
And I'll have them in a special case. The cherries in the snow timeline. And then I wanted to change this to black and white and see if I was right.
Do it and see. Let's do that. Let's see. Can you do that? Can you change it?
I can because now I'm in control of my future.
That's why we did all of that, so we could be in control. Finally,
yeah. I'm all about control. Yeah.
So we can. Wait. We became bitches, so we could be in control.
Do you feel this connection? Do you feel there's a side of you that could commit some of the crimes that they committed?
Yeah. I think it's in every woman. I think it's in every woman to do whatever she wants to do.
Some of us are a little more clumsy than others.
Oh, you're gonna be left behind.
I don't know how the women in I think the women in my life or my family survived because of religion. Because if you're a good woman, you survive. You know what I mean? If you're a good, religion protects us in a way.
But if you go behind the scenes, were they really living their lives by religion?
I think yes and no. I think there's those of them that did, and I think it was a hard life.
Yeah.
But I think that they did, and I think religion does protect people. You know what I mean?
I have to say yes, because it's protected me and my family.
Right.
So I cannot say no.
I believe in that. And then,
maybe not so much religion, but spirituality, because it all goes back to...
If your husband says he's religious...
She's not.
Well, but what I'm saying is in my family, there's a strong religious past. And you say, I'm doing what's right because God is telling me. It protects you. God supersedes over your man. So it's like a type of protection,
Yeah.
And then also, I think there were some women that did more feel like a need to survive and probably navigate that survival.
And it depends on the interpretation of the religion and the environment that you were in. Yeah. Certainly the interpretation of the religion didn't always lend to the betterment and the advantage of the women.
No, definitely not, because you are the servant. Yeah. And the way the church set it up is the woman is subservient to the man.
Yeah. If you believe in that.
And my family definitely did. I mean, my grandfather, when I was 18, said, your purpose is to have children.
Yeah.
He just said that to me.
Yeah, my grandmother.
This isn't 2000 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so pretty current. Yeah. And I'm still hearing those messages. Yeah. I feel, you have a very sexy past connection.
Sexy.
It's very sexy. Sexy. It would make a good book or a movie. I feel a connection I think I have a long line of just cleaning women. I feel like I clean and I feel this is coming too easy. This is something that's in my blood, really? Being the servant, I think. No. Quite frankly.
But my father's family was a bit different. Yeah. They're very traditional, matriarchal women. They believed in the service, serving men and the religion.
But they are matriarchal. The women still in charge.
They were in charge. Well, my grandmother, my paternal grandmother was in charge. And I feel like the next generation, not so much.
Got it.
But even though she was in charge, when I would go to her home, there was always the rule when we sat down to eat, we could not eat before Grandpa ate.
Right, he is the king.
He is the king.
He is the king, but she's making it all work.
Yeah, yes. And I was always a little trying to buck it. Yeah. And she would say to me,
I'm a modern woman.
You. Yeah. I mean, this is a little harsh, but she would say, you're going to have a hard time finding a husband.
Right, because for her, it was her survival to be the good wife.
It was to be the good wife.
Right. But you do. Yeah. But with that does come a certain amount of authority.
And that was a sign of strength. Yes. Being a good wife was a sign of strength.
It was everything.
Yeah, it was
everything.
And
that's why I think women are having such an identity crisis, because one of my questions to you was, like, I'm trying to navigate how to be a mom and a person, and when does... Because I think the good mom concept is too unrealistic and unhealthy. The standard's too high. But at what point do we go to the other opposite of, like, okay, that's enough. Like, we need to have a higher standard for ourselves, like the bad mom versus the good mom.
I think I think it comes down to your experience, your lineage. It's very personal.
Yes.
I know my mother's story, and I'm always very, very cognizant of my mother's story. And so when I chose to go to college instead of like chasing a guy, it was because I knew my mother's story, and she started out trying to be that woman that wanted to be the woman that men would love, and she would be a good wife, and it didn't work for her.
No.
And I don't think it didn't work for her because she's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
But I think as I got to hear more about her and now getting to know her a little bit better, she was just not meant to be that kind of woman. She was
going against her nature.
She was going against her nature. But I thought to myself, well, I'm her daughter, and I do have that thing in me, and I love kids, and I love having a family, but not every woman is meant to be. And even if you are, does that mean that you're not strong and you're not you know, so we need to do...
I think actually the women behind the scenes were incredibly strong. And are incredibly strong. I think it's a way to keep people down, to imply that they're not, you know?
And also those women overcame, I always think, like, what's happening right now, we're talking about how the family structure is changing. And I think that they were not probably appreciated enough, or if they were, they weren't at all. Because
it was just expected.
It was expected, absolutely. You know. But also, I think about it, and I was laughing until I said to my daughter, well, you know, now they're saying that a lot of the monks have had the nuns in sexual slavery, and they've had children with them. It's coming out now. I'm like, yeah, it's a new scandal.
Like in Europe or everywhere?
Everywhere. It's beginning
so where
to come
would the
out.
nuns put the kids?
Yeah, that's what we want to find out. What happened to the kids? Do they give them up to adoption agencies? Because
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, they're close.
This is the latest scandal?
This is coming out.
I really always thought nuns really didn't give it up. I was really...
Oh, no, that's what kept them there.
I was always like... Oh, did you need to get that?
I didn't turn my phone. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I'll go get it. Okay.
Live.
That's the mom calling me.
Yeah, right?
Do I need
That's
to
God calling. Marsha, that's enough.
That's
enough scandal for one day. I didn't know this. Like,
seriously.
All the scandals come out about the priests and the little boys and all that, and that was not surprising to me at all.
Yeah.
Because so many of us
That's my sister calling me. Can you believe that?
Whoa, does she call very often?
She calls me. We talk like once a week.
Oh, okay.
WhatsApp.
Yeah, if you said once a year, I'd be like, her ears are ringing. She's like...
No, she calls me.
She's in Germany.
She's in Germany. But she's a flight attendant, so she flies all over. She's probably in New York right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does she have this connection to the past? Do you think you both have it?
No, she's a very different person.
Yeah.
She is.
She takes after more your dad's side, maybe.
She takes her own side. She's very much into... She's a great amalgamation, I think, of me and the past, where, like, she has the flowing hair. She looks like a Barbie.
Oh, yeah.
She's drop dead gorgeous. Not that I'm not.
Right.
But she's very, very aware.
Do you think, though, she puts a lot of work into that, though? Because it takes a lot of work.
I used to say, when she used to come and visit.
This is not what I look like. This took an hour.
When she used to come and visit.
And I don't look like this at pickup.
You look great.
But this is like just for, this is for you guys, okay? I want to be camera ready. But let's talk about reality. This is not my everyday reality.
Like, for me, it could not be my reality, but that's her. Yeah. Like, she is the, remember we talked about how you wake up early, like 4 a.m.?
She's a 4 a.m.er.
She's a 4 a.m.er.
That's how the Barbie dolls do it.
Yeah.
If you're a mom, is she a mom?
Huh?
Is she a mom too?
No.
Oh, okay. And she doesn't have kids, so she has that extra time to do her nails.
Yeah, she does her nails religiously.
Yeah.
I used to, when she'd come and visit me here, I would be so exhausted by the time she left.
Because you felt you needed to keep up with her?
Constantly in and out of the hair salon, getting her nails done. She needed a massage. She needed a new lipstick. I'm like,
look, if I could afford it, great. But, I mean, I got some work to do, you know.
Yeah. But she's also very independent.
Yeah.
Very independent. Like now, she would say to me, the years when I didn't work, there were 1 or 2 years and I wasn't working. She'd always say, "Why are you working? Why are you working?"
But you also were taking care of kids.
Yeah, but she
so it's a very different ball game.
Very different.
And she doesn't really know that. If you don't have kids, you don't know.
She doesn't know.
You're not in the club.
You're not in the club, and you don't know what she's not someone who didn't know what she didn't know. Like she was like you know. But she would always say, you know, our grandma and our mom, you know, our story, get a job. So
that was her reaction to it.
That was
I can be financially independent. I got this.
I got it. Yeah. And partially she was right.
Sure.
You know, partially she was right.
Don't depend on a man.
Don't depend on him. But at a certain point,
is she in a relationship?
She just found this amazing guy.
Oh, good.
Yeah. When I went to visit her, I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'd seen him, talking to him for like a year.
Because she's maybe had not so amazing guys.
She's always had amazing guys.
Oh,
she's the one. After a while, she gets bored.
She gets bored. And they're like, but I love you. And she's like, I'm over it.
Yeah, she gets like, you know, sometimes I think the relationships are hard.
Yeah.
Relationships are hard. And to keep them going long term.
Yeah.
Which is where I think family is really important. Because sometimes you're out of love with your partner, but you love what you have between you, the kids, and then it gives you enough time to fall back in love. And if you don't have that, I think you get bored after a while. So, well, what are we going to do again today? Like, what, you know, there's not.
She doesn't have anything really tying her to those men.
No, she doesn't. And after a while, that thing wears off, and you have to have, you know, like I was married for a long time. So there were times I fell out of love, and then I fell in love again. Right, you know, so I'm giving that to her. So, yeah.
Sisters.
But I also, she always accused me of the little sister who thought I was the older sister. And I always said, like, but I have to be who I am.
So you're both kind of bossy?
We're both bossy.
That's tough.
I'm going to send her this video, and she's going to say, finally, you admit to being bossy.
Right here on Bad Mom Jokes. You're welcome. What's her name?
Judith.
You're welcome, Judith. That is a biblical name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And is Marsha a biblical name?
I know. They knew not to give
me
a biblical
name. You're like, they knew. They better not. That's funny. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Marsha, there's so much. It's so complicated. Because I do think a lot of my conversation about this bad mom jokes and being a bad mom and trying to redefine those boundaries is my conversation with my religious past.
Yeah.
That says
What's
I'm
your
bad.
religious past like?
Just very Protestant, very traditional. Actually, my great-grandmother was more from a matriarchal system because the dad, I think, was sick, and so the women all went to school and became teachers. So they were kind of in control more that way. But then my grandfather, I think, in response to that, or maybe influenced by his father, was very patriarchal to the point where he kind of redefined Christianity to support his position as the head.
Yeah, I always felt like Christianity was meant to be patriarchal, was to push patriarchy.
I think it's used for that, but I don't think that was Jesus's intention. You know what I mean? Like, I think he really was a lover of all people, women and men, and I think the patriarchy has written women out of the Bible, quite frankly. I'm of that camp. Yeah. I think there's a lot of strong women that have just not gotten their due.
Well, you know what they said. Well, I didn't want to bring this up on the show.
So I have a button, and if something's brought up that's uncomfortable for my guests, they can just...
It's not uncomfortable.
Oh, the battery's on? Oh, wait, here.
Oh, I love that.
So if something said that you're like... And I'll just stop. But bring it. This is Bad Mom Jokes. Let's talk it out.
Well, they said the beginning of Christianity, the beginning of patriarchy.
I don't have a bra on today. Spoiler alert. Okay.
What is it they call? They killed all the women saints. Remember the Dark Ages? They talk about and turned them into witches.
Oh, I totally believe that. Yeah.
And so, because the women had the highest power, and they had power in the churches.
Right.
And they also had, when the men went off to war, the women would get the land. So when the church came in, they had to confront.
It was a power grab.
A power grab.
So but all the power had the women. Then. And that was 700 years after Jesus died.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and so that's where you have all of the...
I mean, I believe that there was a matriarchal spiritual past that we are unaware of because it has been erased. I am a firm believer of that.
And it was harder to put a new paradigm on women because women are harder to convert. So yeah, there's that whole other history out there.
But how have you been exposed to that? Because I've dug, like in college, my mission was to dig for that past, but it was hard to find.
I actually, this is going to give you a little more insight on me.
Okay.
My first 3 years of college, I cut myself off from commercial culture. I was counterculture, and I devoted all my extra time to finding out more about women and women's history.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I came upon what we call the Dark Ages, and I found that it was the time when women were persecuted.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were getting rid of the strong...
Burned at the stake and everything.
And then the women, and the women who we call witches were not necessarily the evil. They were just strong women who had power
and land.
Yeah.
That's what happened in Salem.
Yeah, that's what happened in Salem.
They burned the women for their land. It was landowners. It was just straight up, well, they're not, we want the land, so we'll just kill them. And call them witches. Support it.
Well, the church now owned the land.
Yeah, and when people are surprised that the organized religion is wrapped up in scandal, it's like, have you looked at our past?
Have you looked at our past?
Yeah, and I think until people start acknowledging how women were persecuted, I think we'll have a sickness.
I think we will have but it's up to us as women, I think, to also educate ourselves. And you have to ask yourself, like, now I have 2 daughters. I look at my older daughter, I'm like, she's just as strong, just as smart as any boy next to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what happened?
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think women are incredibly hard on ourselves. We're our own worst enemy. I see myself doing it all the time. I see my daughter doing it at a very young age. She'll hold herself back if she feels that she won't do it as well as she would like herself to do. So my son's not thinking about it.
Yeah, not thinking about it.
Yeah, we're incredibly hard on ourselves.
But that too, but also when I said what happened, I'm like, why is it that so many men, why is it that the men are in power? Right. Something must have happened. If we're born equal in that way, then what happened? We could say...
Well, there also is the physical strength, right?
Yeah, but they didn't get where they are because of physical strength.
Well, but... I mean, if you think about it, up until a certain point, now women are maybe a little more protected. But it's like a man, if he can physically dominate you. Yeah. Like if he can just pull your skirt up and rape you. Yeah. And that's okay.
And the law protects them.
Yeah, and that
protected them at that point.
And then you end up with a baby on your back. And you know what I mean? There's a lot. We get periods every month.
We get periods.
I mean, we're taken out of the game every which way, by nature and by men. And so I think now when women are their rights are a bit more protected.
You know what? I had a conversation that I always say go behind the scenes and have intimate conversations with women who you admire. You want to know how they do it. When my older kids were little, they're dentists. I was so enamored by her, and I was like, how do you do it? You know, because she had older kids, and I was looking up to her. I was like, how do you do it? You have such a great practice. You're a single mom. And she said, next time you come, you take your kids. I want to show you something. And she also had a 3-year-old, and the 3-year-old girl was still nursing, and she had a nursery in her office.
Wow. That
she would nurse the kid. And then she had to help her when she used to go out to deal with the patients or to be with the kid.
So she created her own practice and had her kids at work.
And she said it was
and I believe in that firmly. I believe that women will also be able to take back their power when they can bring their kids to work.
Yeah, and she said it cost her marriage. We've been doing it
for thousands of years. Oh, it cost her marriage.
It cost her marriage.
Because her husband didn't.
She didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Yeah. She felt like she'd worked so hard. Yeah. To accomplish.
And she was in that luxurious position to create her workspace. Because not all women get that opportunity.
Not all women get the opportunity, but you have to want it. Yeah, I think you really do have to want it. And you're right. It's a luxurious position. She was her own employer in a way, so she could decide what she created
her own practice. And good for her, because I do think the more and more we incorporate, women, we're hard workers. We can multitask. And with a helper present or whatever, we can still have our kids in the other room. Like right now, my daughter is with
I'm sure they've heard her. I'm sure they've heard. Yeah,
just bring her in here. Yeah. But I'm able to do this because I have someone that is helping me right now. Like the more that women can, it's socially acceptable to have their kids there at work with them. I think that'll be a powerful change.
That's one thought I always had when I was working at times with kids. Like, I could be doing this at home. Yeah, I could literally be taking muffin out of the oven right now and be doing this. You know, there's no need for me to be driving 10 miles
to separate women from their children.
There's no need. You know, and I always thought, we totally need reform. We need workplace reform, all that stuff, so we can actually be able to have what I call octopus arms, invisible octopus arms, so we can do all these things that we need to do.
Yeah, so we can feel crazy all the time.
No.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But you know what? Women are up for the challenge.
I have to say, I felt crazy before I had kids. It's not, you know what?
Yeah, I think it's in us. Like, my mom feels crazy now, and I told her, I was like, you know, I mean, granted, she should be retired, and she's not, but I do think some of us have like, some people get bored. Some people don't know what to do. Like, and then there's those of us that are like, oh, I'm always busy. And I think we're just programmed that way.
We're just programmed that way.
That's our comfort zone. Yeah. You know, like, I broke my arm. I had to be in a cast. I couldn't lift. I couldn't drive. Then I ended up gutting my house and, like, doing this whole KonMari method. She walked in, the kitchen's gutted. So it's like me at home. Like, they're telling me to rest. And instead, I'm at home, like, doing everything I can with my right hand. Like, that's just in us. We're just programmed that way. Yeah, that type of robot.
Yeah. Or we just have this amazing amount of energy. We have this ability.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm alive. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's something I always thought about. Like, oh, yeah. There is that side of me that I'm aware of that I have to be totally going. Like,
yeah.
And when I rest, I rest.
And you have to put yourself in checks. That's what I have to do. Sometimes be like, hey, Alyssa, why are you not sitting still for a minute? Like, you might need that. You may not be effective right now.
Yeah, may not be effective.
And figure out what you really want.
Code word, effective.
So I think we have to end this because I'm looking at the time, and you said you had to leave at 11:15.
Oh my gosh.
It's 11:20.
Oh my gosh.
I get talking, you guys. I don't know if anyone will ever have the energy to watch this, but the beauty in that is we can talk about whatever we want because
this has been
watching.
Great.
Okay, well, we can do this anytime. I love talking with you. I'm so glad you're back.
It was awesome. Thank you.
I know. I haven't been at school, so I haven't even seen you.
I haven't seen Jessie. Not yet.
I know.
Yeah. Well, because you're busy working all the time.
Well, it's more like busy with Raleigh.
Well, that's work.
Yeah, it is work. It is work. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.